Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. WeatherBrains, episode number 946. We are on the air everywhere. This is for March the 4th, 2024. This is James, and this is the magical time here where we do a pre-show, and we do three things. We share boring personal stories, humorous anecdotes, and from time to time, we say very, very, very outrageous things. All right, so let's get Bill on here, and I'm trying to see. It looks like this video, for some reason, is private, which makes absolutely no sense on YouTube. So let me see if I can fix that real quick. We are going to go to the WeatherBrains YouTube control panel and go to content and then go to live. Well, this is public on here, so apparently it is public. So maybe it's just
You need me to check and see if I see us live?
Yeah, I see it now. Okay, we're good.
Okay, good.
That's weird. It just came up with a weird title and it said private. And
Like
now
Google, always changing stuff.
it says WeatherBrains 946 and it's public. So there we go. The chat room is open and alive. So we're on the air everywhere.
It's alive.
I'm trying to think kind of a good rant I can go on here. I had one last week, but I just let it slip away. Sometimes you get a good one and it just kind of goes away. So
I bet David Payne could give you a rant to go on, James Spann.
No.
Well, I think you should give us one, David. Go. Give
A
us a good
rant?
rant. Yes.
Are we on? Or is this just
Yes,
for us?
we are on. This
Yeah,
is
so
not going to be
careful
on
what
the
you say.
audio podcast, but it's on YouTube right now.
I mean, I think that, and you guys, I'm sure you've touched on this, just what's going on with the business and these companies that are, one hub's going to run 10 markets, and just drives me crazy. What's going to, I mean, how many people are, what's the death injury count going to happen the next 5 years when two people out of wherever are running 5 different markets? It's just, I don't know. It's crazy.
We're in a time of transition.
Sure.
And it's going to be painful, but I think something better will come out the other side.
Right.
During the transition, it's going to be a challenge, but you got to keep on keeping on. That's all we can do. Is keep on keeping on.
That's what we do. I get it.
Yeah, we could rant about the corporate overlords. I guess my here's my biggest corporate overlord rant is and I don't know if you guys do this, but it's everybody now that they declare a week in advance of first code red alert emergency weather day.
A week out.
And and most of them are doing it a week out now.
Wow.
And often it doesn't work out, and they all get mad at me, like I have something to do with it. And I honestly don't know if our corporate overlords with this company they mandate that for the other stations. They do not do that here. We don't do it. But we've had multiple situations where and I'm not faulting the local guys. They're my friends. They're mandated to do this. This is a corporate mandate.
Right.
Where I'm declaring a code red weather emergency day.
Yeah, I heard that one.
A week in advance, and it's like nothing happens, and it just goes back to the constant hyperbole, cry wolf. Not good. And they think it's going to bring people back to television that don't use television, but in my humble opinion, it's going to drive them away from the television. And they just, what they need to do, what these guys need to do is to follow me and let's go to Dollar Generals and Walmarts where real people are and let them talk to you. They'll tell you things. You don't need $100,000 research project. I mean, I'm telling you, I will let you look at real people and you can listen to them and they will tell you. But if I have a rant, that would be it. And it's been really bad the last couple of months, just really bad. And we had a day where SPC put parts of our region in a day 7 severe weather outlook. And oh man, code red, emergency, dive. And the day 7 just went away and nothing happened. It was just a rainy day. And you know, and they all get mad at me like I've got something to do with it. And I'm not going to, you know, say anything bad about other people because it's not their fault. It's the corporate consultants and all this stuff. So sorry. That's my rant of the day. So I'm done.
It was good. And we agree. Yeah.
We will be positive from here on out. Bill, I'm sorry.
Yes, we will.
Hey, real quick, we met one of your team members.
Evan.
Yeah, was it Evan? Okay. Besides Bill, yeah, he was at our hotel. We spoke that evening and a little bit at the conference. So super nice guy. I mean,
he really is. I've never gotten to spend much time with him, and I really enjoyed it.
He's our morning guy. You probably spend more time with him than I've spent. You know, it is when you work mornings and nights, you never see each other unless there's a severe weather deal. And it's been pretty quiet here lately. But Evan is a great guy. He came up here a few years ago, and he's just been great. He loves his job, and I just love that when people love to come into work and they don't mind working bad hours. And that morning shift, as you know, it's brutal, just brutal.
It is.
And he's got just a great attitude. And I wish I could go to that thing. I really need to. But
yeah,
it was good.
I thought this is one of the better ones. This is the first one they've had. And I'm sure you've been, if you haven't yet, been brought up to date on all the new stuff coming out. And I like where we're going. I mean, there's definitely some great stuff coming out for sure.
Yeah, Lacey was on a panel and she had some great advice for everyone. Everyone was taking notes.
It was a great idea this time to do panels and just let people ask questions. I thought that was very good. I apologize for my voice. I'm drinking hot tea with honey. We're going to make it.
The only bad thing that came out of the conference is that somewhere on the plane, Lacey caught COVID or flu or something. So,
oh no,
her voice is like
rough time right now.
Right, everybody has it. Oh, hey, by the way, before we get started, we've talked about at some point in our market doing a 6:30 to 7. You guys might already do it. The one guy there, they do it all. And James, you might know. I didn't know who this guy was.
Box 6. Yeah.
God, where are they? Where is that? They do a 6:30 to 7 every day weather show.
Yeah, and that's what Wes Wyatt and these guys at Channel 6. Wes is one of my old kids, former intern. He's a great guy. I can't see it because of the timing and what I do, but every night at 6:30, they do a 30-minute weather block.
He opened up his discussion by saying, I live at Channel 6 in Birmingham.
I think they've got 8 Mets though on staff too. One Telemundo.
Maybe eight and a producer. James A.
And I asked him about the ratings. I said, what are the numbers going up against Wheel of Fortune, which you all know Wheel is still king. And he said, some nights we beat them. I was like, really?
I don't know. Every time I look at it, it depends on the weather, I guess. And I don't look at ratings much anymore, but Wheel of Fortune, that's about the only show that's just dominant here. Right. And it's still very, very dominant at 6:30. And I guess the struggle I would have with it is what do you do, obviously, when there's nothing happening? And I understand you can go teach and do some science stuff, but that's not going to get big ratings. And but I think what Gray wants to do, and that's Gray, that they just want to go all local all the time. And welcome. We are on television now. I did not even look at the time here. We're live on the local digital weather channels now and the YouTube. And so we can get started. It's our Monday night weather party. So let me get record track 1 going and record track number 2. And here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Join the American Meteorological Society by becoming a member of the band. The AMS Weather Band is a global community of weather enthusiasts dedicated to learning and sharing their love of science. Visit amsweatherband.org to learn more and join the band today.
You're listening to WeatherBrains. They're kind of a big deal.
You heard it from Bill Curtis, kind of a big deal. WeatherBrains, episode number 946. This is the weekly show that's all about weather. This is for the 4th of March, 2024. We are into meteorological spring, and we are about a month away from the big solar eclipse. Troy Kimmel, have you got your glasses ready?
Got the glasses ready, and the folks are coming, and we're looking forward to how many million people here. I don't know. It's just going to be a mess. frankly, I know too many emergency managers down here and hearing what they're having to say. And actually going out there a little bit to the northwest around Lake Buchanan myself, but I'm trying to find somebody with a helicopter. So,
Ooh, what a great idea.
yeah.
So in terms of climatology, early April in that part of Texas, what's your chance of having a clear shot at it?
Not a good chance. I mean, not really. Low clouds and fog in the morning, and it depends on, naturally we'll be dry until the day before, and then it'll start raining. But bottom line, a lot of people excited about it. I just seen a lot of things from emergency managers from around the area that make me very nervous.
Some of them already declared emergencies.
We have here in Austin, and we'll see. Just things that behind the scenes that you see that just tend to make me nervous. Not only would be driving up to Burnett, which is an hour-long drive, and I'm told on that Monday coming back could be 5 or 6 hours.
Wow.
Back into Austin.
Well, for those that don't have the eclipse glasses, I've got some.
Oh,
ready
those
in
are
there.
perfect.
I have been working on these. I used these back during the eclipse we had a few years ago, and they work great. You
and they're made by Ritz.
Yeah, putting on the Ritz.
The Ritz. There you go.
James Adelot, how close to you are the totality?
My plan's to drop into Southeast Oklahoma, so it'd be about a 3-hour drive normally. I mean, Troy talking about Austin traffic, 5 hours sounds like a normal day down there, Troy.
Yeah,
good heavens.
Yeah, I understand.
I'd declare an emergency if I had to live in Austin too.
Do that every day of the year. Yeah,
I do know this. I know it's a 4-hour drive from door to door from here to Broken Bow and Beavers Bend, which is Southeast Oklahoma. And a buddy of mine's got a place down there. He just rents it out, Airbnbs and all that. It's been rented out for that date, the day before, the day of, and the day after, for 5 years now. In places that are going normally are 500 a night or 300 a night. It's 1,000, it's 2,000, 3,000, and there are no 4-lane roads in Southeast Oklahoma. It's a 2-lane nightmare. And James, you know what I'm talking about, from Broken Bow headed north up. It's going to be a disaster. But hey, some people, they want to get in the middle of that, which is, it's cool. It's going to be awesome. But
well, what are they saying, guys, from Oklahoma? And the majority of our people on the call tonight are from Oklahoma. But what are they saying down there as far as drive times and things like that? They estimating an attendance in southeastern Oklahoma? Because I got to imagine there will be a lot of people heading that way.
Oh,
there will be, but Dallas and Northeast Texas are going to occupy a lot of that too. We had really good luck in Central Missouri with that last eclipse. Traffic really wasn't that bad at all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm hoping it's just kind of in between Little Rock and Dallas, and we'll do just fine. I think my family may be trying to head down there close to Kim.
Yeah.
So,
well, we did the annular here back in, was it October? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And went out with a friend from up the Northeast, and we went out to San Angelo, and I was worried about that. It was the best drive I've ever had in my life. No traffic. Went out the night before. Holiday Inn Express had a free night for me on my credit card. Spend the night out there, went out to San Angelo State Park, enjoyed it. But I've been warned by everyone since that doesn't count and is nothing what will compare to what we will see. So,
wow. Rick Smith, are you going to head to Southeast Oklahoma?
I think I'm going to have to work because half of our office is taking leave to go to Southeast Oklahoma. So I didn't.
You know what's going to happen?
Close enough attention and didn't get my leave request in.
It's a tornado day. No offense.
SPC high risk.
High risk day.
Gulf Stratus in the morning and a high risk afternoon.
Exactly.
I will say on April 8th, 1998, Rick, we had an F5 right through Birmingham. It killed 34 people.
Watch all that annual leave, Rick. It'll go away real quick.
We've been on meetings and conference calls with emergency managers in Oklahoma for probably close to a year now. I don't know, but they're expecting tens of thousands of people. I mean, they're establishing regional EOCs. I mean, the infrastructure, the traffic they're just expecting it to be monumental. And if you've been to the Broken Bow area, Ho Chi Town, that area there, it's a very popular tourist area, and there's not that many roads in and out of there anyway. So, that could be interesting. So yeah, I'll have to watch it from afar probably.
Let's check in with the commissioner. Kim, are you going to drive down to Southeast Oklahoma April 8th?
Oh, I possibly am going just right there to Beaver's Bend. That's our plan.
Not going to say.
Do you have a place already?
I do. But I have there actually are some cabins that are becoming available. There are people who are getting cabins online now because people are building and like adding new stock, anticipating this, right? So yeah, we have a cabin for the weekend. So we're going to try to avoid the traffic nightmare, and we'll just park ourselves right there. We got a place that, doesn't have a whole lot of trees around it. There's like a little pond right next to it. We can go out in the water and see what that is like, during the whole thing. So nice. We're pretty excited. It will be really interesting to see what it's like down there with the crowds and all of that.
Yeah. Bill Murray, let's officially bring in our guest here, because we need a formal introduction here. Go.
We do, but I don't think we said hello to Dr. Neil Jacobs, did we? Or
is he on the line? Neil, are you here?
I
didn't see Neil
down
join.
there in the
Dr.
lower
Jacobs,
right-hand corner.
Where are you? Where are you?
I'm currently in DC right now.
So will you be headed north or west for the eclipse?
I'm going to be speaking at the same event you are, I think on the 7th, and then on the 8th through probably the 10th, I'll be fishing in Charleston. So I don't think they're anywhere near. I haven't looked. I guess you can tell eclipses aren't my thing.
Show title. That's our first show title potential of the week. You're right. We're going to be in Mobile on the the 6th and the 7th. And
for CCAPs?
Yes, for CCAPs. And then on the 8th, I will be back here. And I think we're going to, what is it, Bill? About 90% covered here.
Mm-hmm. It'll be nice, but it's nothing like totality.
Yeah, it'll probably be a severe weather day. So anyway, but Bill, let's bring in our guest. We got a lot to talk about tonight.
Let's do it. Tonight on WeatherBrains, we're thrilled to welcome the dynamic duo of severe weather coverage from Channel 9 in Oklahoma City, David Payne and Lacey Swope. David, with his unparalleled expertise and passion, has been at the forefront of chasing and reporting on severe weather and other extreme weather in Oklahoma, while Lacey, known for her in-depth analysis, engaging storytelling, both bring a unique perspective to understanding the skies above us. Together, they've captivated audiences with their commitment to keeping their communities safe and informed, and made them beloved figures in Oklahoma and across the severe weather watching world. David, Lacey, welcome to WeatherBrains. Thank you for doing this on short notice, because our guest dropped out at the last second. But I have to say, I'll be a little bit of a fanboy tonight because your coverage is so amazing. And I want to start out by learning a little bit about both of you. Lacey, I'll start with you. I know you're nursing a sore throat tonight, but as long as you can, talk about your weather journey, how you knew you caught the bug, and what events influenced you in your young life, and take us through your educational and professional career.
Okay, so I'm so excited because I've watched you guys forever. So this is my first time on WeatherBrains, and thank you for having me. I'm sorry I sound horrendous. I was actually doing the morning show this morning and had to call in backup in the middle of the night to come take over because my voice left. So it's doing better right now. But I'm from Kiefer, Oklahoma, very small town. And yes, James flies over Kiefer a lot and sends me pictures. But I grew up with my dad actually obsessed with weather. And so I have VHS tapes of every weather event from the 80s when he got his camera, and he would record the TV with the Mets on the TV, and then go outside and record the sky of what was happening. And then he would come back in. And I just recently, for Christmas, this past Christmas, went through and digitized everything for him. And it was amazing because I saw these Mets that I still know and that I still watch in the 80s, seeing their graphics and seeing all the things that they did. And some of them, he would be telling my brother to get me in the closet, and he would go out and walk in the hail, and show how deep the hail was after hailstorm. He's videoing while windows were broken out in our house. So I think I got my weather bug from my dad. Always just loved weather, but also just loved science. And so I went to the University of Oklahoma, and my freshman class was the first class in the National Weather Center, which was amazing. So I got to know Kim there, and it was just an incredible experience to be right there in the hub and the mecca of weather in the National Weather Center in Norman. From there, I wanted to go more into research. I love coding and I liked a lot of ideas and aspects of research and wanted to go on until I landed on a internship at News 9 in Oklahoma City. And I had a friend who was interning there and he just said, hey, you talk a lot. You would probably like this side. And I was like, no, I have no interest in TV. It's not. I do. And so I was like, well, I'll go check it out. And I just fell in love with it. I was like, I could sit here and dream up my own ideas of a weather story and build it and then talk about it for a living. Like, sign me up. And so I was horrible at it. In the beginning, I got shipped off to Market 147, which was incredible in Sioux City, Iowa. That was my first job. I covered South Dakota, Iowa, and Nebraska, and was there for a year. And then I came back as a weather producer at News 9. I basically contacted them and I said, look, I will take out the trash. I will sweep the floor. But I just want to get back into severe weather and I want to get back into Oklahoma. I love severe weather. And that's kind of been my passion, again, coming from Oklahoma anyway. And so that's what I ended up doing. And they hired me as weather producer. And I was there for a couple of years, kind of filling in on air before I got my first show. And I started on the noon show. Then I moved to the morning and the noon show. And I have been on the morning show for, I think, 10 years now. And I've worked with David for, I think, 11. I was trying to think. I think I've worked with David for 11.
Yeah.
I went to
put up with me for 11. What'd you say?
For 11, yes. I went to Tulsa for 1 year.
Oh, yeah.
Station, Channel 6 in Tulsa, KOTV. And then I came back to Oklahoma City. And so that's where I am. I do the morning show every single day, Monday through Friday. And for severe weather, I come back. So I'll come back in the afternoon, and then it's David and I and the team running radar and kind of, running again and doing what we do. But it just all started being from the state where you learn to brush your teeth as a kid and you learn your tornado drills. And my house that I grew up in, my dad had actually rebuilt it because it was hit by a tornado in the 70s. So it's just always been close to home,
Wow. Well, I'm glad your voice held out so we could hear all that, Lacey. It sounded great. David, you take the same question.
Okay. I didn't really go far. My career, I was born in Guthrie, which is about 10 miles north of Edmond, which is about 25 miles north of where I'm sitting. Lived there for 6 months, grew up in Edmond. And I grew up watching people like Jim Williams back in the day. He was an old military, and the guy was so good. He was talking about dry lines back in the 70s when very few people were, and analyzing dry lines on the board. And I was like, that's weird. I saw a tornado back. I grew up in Edmond. I say Edmond. It was Lake Hiwassee, a little small lake east side of Edmond. I saw a tornado back May 7th of 75 come at me, crossed the water, had a little water spout, went over the dam. Of course, my dad was like, we're going to watch this. This is pretty cool. So I always was so amazed at what I was looking at. So I began to love it at an early age. But I was also scared of it. I really was. It used to terrify me. And remember, how it was back then. I mean, tornado warning for Oklahoma County. Didn't have any idea where it was, So, and that used to drive me crazy. We got to get better, right? So, but anyway, I loved it. I love the weather we have here in Oklahoma. I think being part of my DNA is watching the coverage that we've had here in Oklahoma City my entire life before I became an adult. It was just one of those things where I loved weather first, and then I loved talking to people just about it. I mean, I still do, and I still love it. So I went to OU. I chased a little bit at OU, especially my senior year, and then the years following, I did an internship like Lacey. Internships usually last a semester. I was at our ABC affiliate in town for 3 years as an intern. So I was the guy that'd go, hey, Mr. Payne. I was like, no, I'm not even getting paid. But I just wanted to be involved with it so much, when I was in my late teens and early 20s. And believe it or not, my first owner job was with Travis Meyer at Channel 8 in Tulsa, and he's now my counterpart with our sister station up there. And I was on the air for about 6 months doing fill-ins, and then I got an opening to do fill-ins in Oklahoma City. And gosh, turned into weekends, and then for a couple of years, then took over the morning show for nearly 18 years. And then I was brought over at the beginning of 2013 to News 9. But my role at, my career, my role, the morning guy, yes, but, I storm chased many, all the events. If you can name anything in the early 90s up until the big event of 2013, my first year here, I did chase 2013 when Gary was still here. And so I've seen about everything in Oklahoma, at least, in the field and all that. But I think like most of us, it's a passion, it's a bug. You love it. If you got the bug, you're in trouble. So anyway, that's kind of my road.
David, I know that you guys are the envy of the broadcast meteorology industry with the equipment and resources that you have. Dig us into the weeds a little bit to tell us, about what all you've got and how you use it. And Lacey, you jump into, because you hinted at some of this in Huntsville, and I found it fascinating.
Okay, well, Lacey, jump in anytime. Well, I think being locally owned, we owned by Griffin Media. We have the 2 stations, and I think we realize how fortunate and how lucky we are. We know what's going on, and even when things are really, really good, and things are still fine. But I mean, we knew how fortunate and how lucky we are. We have a large team of meteorologists, obviously here in studio, but we have a large team of trackers, and all of our trackers have chase partners with them. 3 of our tracker units are chased with their husbands and wives. And so on our days, we will send our trackers out, and we send trackers out to cover rain. Lacey has people, storm trackers with names. I mean, they're, these are higher profiler people than a reporter. I mean, they go out so much, and they're covering rain in the morning or rain in the afternoon for me. And on the bigger days, we will reach out to KO, and I will bring down some of their storm trackers. It's only 90 miles, and so I will double up, which is great. I'll bring down 3 or 4 or 5 of their guys, and they also have a helicopter, and we have a helicopter. And on the big days, I will bring them down, and I will bring down their helicopter, and we will chase with 2 choppers and all the storm trackers. And we realize it's a unique situation. We all know that weather drives the market, weather drives the ratings. But I'll say this: when I was being hired by David Griffin, he didn't come in and ask me. We were having lunch at my house, and he didn't come in and say, what's it going to take to win? And I've been asked that by GMs and news directors and all this. And it was the first time ever. And I said, he didn't ask me that. What he asked me is, he said, what is it going to take? He's an Oklahoman. He's from Muskogee, and the whole family is. And he said, what's it going to take to keep people safe? And I was just floored. And I go, really? And he goes, yeah. I mean, what do we need? What do we need to keep people safe? And I said, well, we need to shore up the weather team. We need to shore up the storm trackers and the equipment. We got to get the equipment in-house. And so we did. We used Barron. We went with Barron. We invested in a radar several years back. And, it drives the market. I mean, it drives the ratings. And so, but at the end of the day, it's all about, keeping people safe. And that's what we try to do. I mean, some days are better than others. And it was just unique having an owner of a TV station. That's all he cared about.
I think it's very unique too that we have the team that we have. We have 7 meteorologists on staff, and that gives us an ability to really focus on one thing on severe weather days. Because being at just like the conference we were at there in Huntsville over the weekend, to hear from people who may have on a severe weather day 1 or 2 people, and that's all they have. That's what they do the best that they can. They do an amazing job using the equipment that they have. And we have such a big team that can take so much off of our plates, and we can really focus on our individual jobs. And that's something we're very lucky, very blessed to be able to do, honestly. But it's crazy on a severe weather day to look around, and we've got 5 people in-house with very specific jobs and very specific roles, trying to keep a track of the numerous supercells that have broken out or whatever it is. And I think we've all worked together for a very long time as well. Like David and I have worked together for 11 years. And we touched on this a little bit, but what's crazy is, I mean, he can just give me a look. It's literally a look, or just like his body language. And I know exactly what he wants. And I know exactly what he needs. And I know exactly what product I better go to next. And the same thing with me. He kind of knows my face, and he's like, oh, hold on a second. What is that storm up north doing? You know, I can tell you're getting a little antsy, you know, what's going on. And I think that's something unique too, just about our situation, is we know each other very, very well.
So Lacey, talk for a minute about, you know, because that internal communication is so important, how the team works together, what your roles are, and when you're in the middle of the heat of the battle.
So David's obviously on the wall. So once we actually go into our wall-to-wall coverage, he's standing on the wall. But our wall, we've tried to make very unique as well, to where he can see. We have 5 different graphics boxes that we use, and he can see them. So when I'm driving on one, he can see. And of course, the viewers don't get all that information piled into them, but he can. And so we have different Mets doing different things. I am running radar on whatever the storm is. So whatever that storm is, the main thing, I've got that in on tight, so he can see that. We're going down to street level and, you know, looking at the different variables of that storm. And then I also, that he can also see, but viewers can't see, I've always got a statewide view up on a different box. So I'm trying to keep an eye on virtually everything, and our trackers on it, our helicopter, and try to keep an eye on that. He can also see that from the wall. So we know when something else might be ramping up. We have another Met standing next to me who's drawing storm tracks. So that person is looking very detailed. Cassie Hyder, she's looking at the storm, trying to figure out if they're starting to turn right, if they're starting to anchor, if they're cycling, if this one maybe is lunging or whatever it may be, and really keeping an eye on the speed and motion of a storm. That's a full-time job. So she's doing that. We have another Met actually talking to all of our storm trackers, because while they're out there, one may start to be at, you know, tornado genesis is happening with a storm we're not really paying close enough attention to, and they are right there under it. So that's vital information, plus giving them information like, hey, your storm is turning right. You got to get out ahead of it, go east, whatever it is. And another Met in charge of social media, and their job is to take information from viewers constantly from all of our various sites and devices and platforms, and then also post information to social media. So that's 5 people. Yeah, 5 people that are on any given weather day that they're doing. We have 2 more Mets, but someone has to sleep. Someone has to sleep and come back, you know. So that's one of them, and another one that we'll bring in to help do kind of in-betweens for everything.
So
Lacey and David.
I'm sorry. Let me ask one more thing, James A., and I'll come back to you.
You got it.
And then I'll kind of get out of the way here for a minute, because I want all y'all to ask questions. I'm, you know, so excited about all this. Yeah. The one other thing I wanted to say, David, you mentioned that you switch your own show, your own live. You're not using a control room. Talk about that for a minute. Why that works for you?
Well, if I had to rely on somebody in news wanting to go to another radar, or leave our live radar, or go to this radar, and all my many sources that are all stuck up here, it's the thing is, we've created a monster, and it's just too big. I mean, there's so many products out there now. So on a weather day, and I don't know if she mentioned this, but I have cameras, or we have cameras on everybody. I have a camera straight facing her, facing Justin Rudisell, who's, you know, doing the trackers. They're all mic'd. They control their own mics. Nobody in audio controls it. We have it set up where they flip a switch and control their own mics. So when I look over at Lacey, I mean, we're connected, and I'm doing something, like, hey, Lacey, you know, she looks at me like, yeah, hang on. And so I pitch to her, camera comes on, and I learned a long time ago, I mean, this is more than a one-person deal, and I need all the people I can get. And so I incorporate everybody. If you're grandma and you walk in my weather center, I'm going to pretty good chance I'm going to mic you up and throw you on the air. And it works, and people listen to, and they pay attention to the vastness of our team. You know, I'm big about promoting the team, and Cassie and Justin and Andrew Adams, our other meteorologist. He's on social media, and he's right next to me. And so anything comes up, he's slinging video out and posting it and resharing it. And I'll say, let's go to links 4. You know, we have 5 boxes. Let's go to links 5. Let's go to links 2. You know, so it's rapid fire. It's controlled, total chaos. But it works. But, you know, yes, we control everything from in there. There's a producer that will talk to me every now and then. The chopper, it's very important to keep the chopper in the air. Last year, Jim Gardner took a softball-sized hailstone in the front of the chopper, and on April 19th, on the cold tornado day, the EF3 that was just south of Norman. And I was talking to him on air when he got struck, but I've got a guy that sits literally behind my green wall to the right, and I'll pitch to Lacey for a second. I run over and say, I need Jim to peel back, I need Jim to come back south 2 miles, or I leave the board for a minute, run over to Justin or the storm trackers, hit the button down where I can talk to all of them. And I go, Val, I need you to go north. I need you to bust south here. Even though Justin does a great job, my head is still in storm chasing mode because I did it for so long. So I try to put people where I think they should be. And it's crazy. It is. It's a crazy business, but gosh, it's a lot of fun. I mean, you're trying to give people the best information to keep people safe, and you just hope you have a good day, and you hope you say the right things. I mean, that's what it goes down to. So
yeah, it's a great point, David. I refer to it as the Alan Shepard prayer, and I think I've brought that up on the show before too. But I owe you both a big thanks, because for the last few years you've kept most of the bad weather just on your side of the state, and I really appreciate that. But how do you balance? What is your philosophy on work-life balance, especially in the spring? Because it is a madhouse in Oklahoma.
It is. Her life is. She's definitely more tired than I am. I mean, she'll work a full morning, and then she goes home to 2 young kids, babies, and then she's back in at 1 or 2 in the afternoon and goes all day and all evening and wherever. And then she might take the next morning off if it's been a crazy day. Being in this market and being in this business, my daughter's in Virginia going to school, and I've flown back early on 3 times the last 3 years. Went out and had to get, and I knew that I could get my first couple of days in, but I was on a plane flying back to Oklahoma City and coming back, either covering winter storm or tornadoes. So, here's my thing. If I didn't love it, it's a grind for sure. If I didn't love it, but I just, I get tired. I think we all do, but I love what I do so much that I don't look at it like that. Like it's, oh my gosh, it's, I just never have. But there is a, and I try to balance it out. If we've got 5 or 6 days where I'm at the station for 8, 9, 10, 12 hours a day, you're working 3 hours from home, even before you get in, getting trackers out, putting people in position, all that craziness that goes on, even before the day even starts. I'll go and then I might take 2 or 3 days off where there's nothing going on and just reset and kind of hang on a second. And then, luckily it doesn't last 6 weeks, but, last year, look where it was. Everything was within 40 miles of downtown Oklahoma City, all the big stuff. So we had a lot of big days, but, Lacey has the longer days as far as, my daughter's in college. And so I have a little more of I don't have to go home to kids. They're not there, but she has to. But it is tough. I mean, I think we all deal with it. I mean, there's certainly no perfect position in TV.
No.
And if there is if you're in a market that has a lot of weather, like we do, you've got to be there. You've got to be there. So, Lace, what do you think? What's your take?
Yeah, I think exactly what you said. It's just you go, knowing this is the business and this is what we signed up for. And then you just at some point got to say, hey, and sometimes all I got to say to him, I think he can tell by the look on my face, like, hey, okay, I want you to take tomorrow off or whatever it is. And our whole team's that way because you can see it in each other, like, hey, this is really taking a toll. I am very lucky. My husband is a stay-at-home dad. So I'm in such a unique position to be a morning show meteorologist because those hours are crazy for kids. But my kids have a very normal life because of my husband. And so we have a very unique and weird life compared to a lot of people. But we get to be around each other a lot. So my husband's with them right now. And when I go to bed, I get to put them to bed and then I miss a nap in the morning and then from them. And then I come home and it's all well. I will say one of the biggest things that I've noticed being a mom and doing this is I had so much time to be on my phone and on the computer looking at data, staying up to date with what's happening and what the storm reports are when I'm not there, and also just being live. I used to do that all the time, like social media updates live. That's almost dead now. It's impossible because there's just no way. When I have my computer set up here to do this, actually, I left the room for a second, come back. My 1-year-old was standing on my keyboard. He was standing on it and I don't know what he was doing. So that's just, it's a balance, but so far, I mean, I'm nowhere near burnt out. So I think that's a good thing.
it's like, and my last point, I often equate it to being in ministry in a way, and not anywhere near what ministers do. But man, if this is not in your heart, you're going to burn out, you're going to fail, and it's going to be bad. And that's why I think so many people in weather have this story about, oh, I remember that day that I was hooked.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And we keep having those days. You know?
Hey, David and Lacey, this is Rick. It's so cool that y'all are on here. I only found out about an hour ago and I was so pumped. So I'm glad y'all are here. We get to work together and proud to be team members with you guys. Kind of talk about, I don't know if this is complete, it has to be unique to Oklahoma City. The fandom, the craziness that goes on. We do outreach events like at the mall or the National Weather Festival that goes on at our building. Talk a little bit about that. That can't be normal everywhere else, right?
No, I don't think it is. I think just the fact that weather is such a big deal here and always has been for good reasons. I mean, last time we were looking at numbers, I think within 40 or 45 miles of downtown Oklahoma City, there's been more EF2, 3s, and 4s, and 5s than any other place on the planet. And people have lost their lives. I mean, so we've had a lot of crazy weather. And so, those events, the Penn Square thing, as you know, Rick was here's what's crazy. We did this Penn Square thing. Rick's there, his team's there, and it's a mall here, and we do it every March. And, we'll have people waiting in line. And James, I'm sure both of you guys deal with this too, but, you have people waiting 3 hours just to say hi, which I'm like, I live in Edmond and I go to Lowe's every day. It's pretty easy, really. My life's pretty boring, but, and they canceled that this year, but it was such a big deal to us every year that we just did our own. We're going to be at the zoo this Saturday. I mean, it's such a big deal to people to come out. You think it's going to be the same people, and it's not. And you'll have hours of people, thousands of people that come in from all over Oklahoma, and they just want to tell you a story or just say hi. And then, of course, the National Weather Festival that Rick and his team put on in Norman is one of the biggest events. It might be bigger than the Penn Square. It's insane. And it's supposed to, by the way, what Rick is supposed to be, 3 or 4 hours, and it's usually like 5 by the time we get out of there because of all the people that are still in line. You're never going to leave somebody in line, right? Never. You're never going to walk out and leave somebody. It's waiting to get a picture or an autograph or whatever. But
I'm always impressed that you guys stay there. You don't leave anybody standing in line. That's cool.
No, you can't. And I think it's different. No, not all markets are like this, but also, I watch a lot of TV from around the country, and and I'm, and people that move away are taking a trip and they watch other TV markets and they come back and they say, my phone went off because they have our app or whatever, it doesn't matter, but their phone goes off. I'm in a tornado warning and I go to the local and nobody's on. And I don't even know what that means. You know what I mean? They just don't, whether that's their decision or their management decision. But my point going back to that is we're always on. We go on before the events start. If it's going to be a 3 o'clock boom time, we're going to be on the air at 1:30 and we're going. And here's the story. Here's the trackers. We're ready. We're in place. Here's where it's going to fire. I'm showing the HER or whatever in-house model we have. I'm showing satellite, you know what I mean? Before the event. So I think that the fact that, people and the crowds are that big, it's because we're on TV a lot. I mean, we do a lot of coverage. I mean, a lot of coverage. And so, and we are grateful. I mean, the other problem is that you show up to an event and nobody's there to see you. So I guess it's a good problem to have. But, I just have a question. Rick, do all the other weather offices around the country, do they do what you guys do down in Norman?
There's offices that do open houses. I mean, we're in such a unique spot. Lacey talked about the Weather Center. It's such a unique place. There's not many other weather service offices that get to be in a building like that. So we've got a lot to pull people in. But yeah, offices do open houses and they'll do outreach events with their media and things like that. But yeah, it's just a different level. It's just a different level here for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
It is crazy. And something you guys are really talking about is the culture of Oklahoma is such a part of it. And I want to bring in an aspect you started to talk about with social media and engagement and all of the fame and engaging, with people, and Lacey in particular. I've followed Lacey's career since I met her as a freshman, as a very, very talented, bright freshman. And I've followed your very impressive social media presence. You have a very positive one. And part of it is that you also are just so Oklahoman. And I think you connect with people on so many different levels. I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about what you brought up earlier about the creativity to tell the weather story, and also making it sort of pulling in your life and making it a whole person and life story while you're doing that.
Okay. I mean, thank you so much. Cause yeah, I've looked up to you forever, Kim. So that's amazing to hear. I do remember one time I was doing a social media, a Facebook Live, and my kids interrupted and you shared it. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. A mommy who gets it. Thank you. You understand how crazy it is. But I think I'm not, I don't really understand social media, and as much as it might come off that I do. I just started my freshman year of college is when Facebook started. And so I'm just the generation of learning as I go and not really having a game plan. So I won't say anything that I do is like strategic or like I thought, oh, I'm going to do this and this is going to work. I just kind of have just always been myself on there, and that has worked, which has just been very, I think, lucky for me. I am from Oklahoma. So anytime I talk about things, people are like, I can tell you're really from here. And that really like strikes people. They really connect when they think that you really are meeting them where they are. Which I don't know why I would lie about being from Oklahoma, but they're always like, oh, I can tell you really know. Like, yes, because I go to that grocery store and I went to that school and I drive down these roads, and so I just post about it. And if I'm driving and some of the craziest things work. I mean, talking about a pothole on a major highway, that'll get you the most likes and shares, by the way. just things that everyday people deal with and that they do. And then so I just kind of grew up on social media and in this career, and I've just posted about it, getting married, having kids. I just kind of post whatever it is I'm going through and find that other people go through that too. And then I think that helps, because then when it comes to severe weather and it comes to the times when it's scary, they're like, hey, I kind of trust her. She's like me and she understands, and she's there too. And she's got family here too. And so I think we have so many of the same fears, concerns, likes, joys, hobbies, and that just has seemed to work. And like I said, I don't think it's anything genius that I came up with or thought, but people are interested. But I also have a great community. I can ask any question about anything and get honest, awesome responses. And then during severe weather, ask for reports. And, you get so much information from people because everybody's on their phone. And so when you do have a bigger following, you can get so much more vital information. And I think it's worked in that way.
I think that's something I love so much about what you do, because you're not just like giving information, you're also asking for information. And it's not just weather, it's real life, like everyday things. And you might not have intended it, strategically this way, but because you are just such a reflection of the whole fabric of the community, I think you do have just that wonderful trust. And that is so important as a risk communicator, to be trusted and understood. And then people, I think they really, really are impacted by what you recommend and what you say. And you've created quite a voice for yourself. And I just, as much as you might look up to me, I look up to you too. You are just, you've always been, she came up to me as a freshman wanting to know more about social science research, and she was already thinking about research trajectories and everything. And I was like, I don't even know what to provide you. I just got here myself as a master's student, but I love your energy. And just, you've just always been one of those people. So don't sell yourself short on the genius of what you've put together. I think it's really, really important. And with that, I'm going to toss you to Neil, who I think has some more questions about other sides of social media.
Yeah, I want to pull on this social media thread because however little you think you know about social media, I know less. And I have like a morbid curiosity about it. I guess this is maybe a question for both guests. How do you deal with the haters and the creepers and the the dark side? Because we know it's there. Like, what is like your strategy for managing that?
I think just over the years, my skin and, I don't know, it's pretty thick. I've had, we both have had threats. I mean, like harm to be done and things like that against us. When we go to our public events now, we have 3 police officers there for all the things that have changed. I'd say the last 3 or 4 years with us. So we, that's all come out of social media. I mean, that's all TV, obviously, too. But I mean, a lot of that is, I think, has come out of that. Some people, because you post personal pictures and stuff of your personal life, they feel like they know you better, so they feel like they can say anything to you, and if they have their issues. And so, we've had to rethink some of our events and stuff about what we do and all that. As far as the trolls go and the haters, I ignore all of that. I get an email that says, "You are horrible at what," I just go, "Thank you for watching." And I sign my name. Or I get a big rant that somebody, and they'll be wrong. They're talking about another person in town. It's not even me, but I'll just say, "Hey, you know what? Thanks for the input, but that wasn't us." Or I just say, "Thanks for watching, and I hope things get better." I don't ever argue. I don't ever, I just don't have time. But everyone's got a battle, right? And when somebody does something like that or says things that are weird and all that, I just don't. I don't give into it. I just, okay, thanks. And we move on, because if you don't, you'd be giving into it. That's what you would do. I mean, James, his following is incredible. I can imagine he, the love he has, but also I know he probably has a few that you're like,
the worst ones is the chemtrail action team. No. If you post pictures of cirrus clouds, or a condensation trail, they literally have an action team that will come in and personally attack you. Not only publicly, but they will send you private messages, and they will list the name of your spouse, the name of your children, your address. We know where you live, and you keep posting this, you're in grave danger.
Yeah.
And what I have to do is, by nature of my employment agreement, I have to turn that into law enforcement, because if I'm under a threat, then everybody else in this building is under a threat. So the worst ones for me, it's the chemtrail action team guys. I mean, it's not good. So let me give him a quick jingle here. Where is it? See, I've almost taken it out of the rotation here. I think I did. No, here it is.
Wow.
All right, Lacey, and listen, and let me say this too, David. We get stuff, but it's so much more intense if you're a woman. It's horrible.
It's horrible.
It's brutal.
It is.
Stuff that I've seen these young women receive here.
Yeah.
So I would like to hear Lacey's answer to Neil's question, because you deal with a lot more than we do.
And I think, like I said, starting out in my career, I mean, I was awful. I was awful on television. I knew it. I didn't have a clue how to dress. I didn't know any, but I think I was very humble in that regard and knowing. And so I could tell right away from people who were just being mean. Everyone knows the mean girl or the mean guy, and it's coming from a mean place. And some people, I was like, "Hey, you're right. That was awful," whatever. And so I try to carry that with me now, because you can tell where people are coming from a lot of times. And yes, no one should report under no one should critique your appearance. No one should critique any of those things. But sometimes it's just Debbie, and Debbie she's right. That dress was awful. That dress did not look good on TV, and I appreciate you looking at, my grandma would have said the same thing. So, so sometimes I just try to take it like that and try to see where people are coming from. And a lot of times it's just ridiculous. And when it's ridiculous, I don't respond. If I've had this rule since the beginning, if I respond to one of the most ridiculous things and I think, you know what, maybe I can set them straight, or maybe they will listen, or maybe they don't even realize this is my page. And when I respond, sometimes people, when you respond, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know you were going to see that." I'm like, "Well, who do you think is running this? A robot?" But sometimes people really think that. My rule is, if I do respond to one of those, then I just respond to one of the nice ones. How many times do you get people who take the time to say, "You did a great job," or "Hey, that looks great," or "Hey, I appreciate you saying that," and you don't even respond to those? You only scroll through and see the ones that are negative sometimes. And so I try to really keep that perspective. I'll just go back to a simple thank you and say thank you, you know. Yeah. But man, I've had crazy, and I had this fear of being pregnant on TV because I've seen from across the country what women have gone through. And I was like, oh man, this is gonna be brutal because they're gonna see everything for, you know, 9 months. And I was shocked. And I think part of it is the community. I mean, there would be people that were not that I didn't have negative. I had negative, but it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. I think because my pages are mainly women, which I find it's kind of shocking to me because I post a lot of outdoor stuff as well. I hunt, I fish. And so I have a lot of, you know, men who also do those things who follow me. But I think because of that, people were very kind and they just offered a lot of advice and were helpful. And sometimes the comments aren't mean, it's how we interpret it. You know, do we just take anytime someone comments, do we think that's being mean? Sometimes it's a helpful critique, you know, and sometimes it is brutal. But throughout my pregnancy, that was some of the craziest stuff. You know, the craziest of crazies. People were very offended by my belly button. Belly buttons are, you know, it's a talker. It's a talker. And as a female, I have one, you know, and I can't help it. So I had to figure out how to manage that. That was probably the craziest thing to me. And also people they were sick of me being pregnant. They would just say that. They're like, you know what, when are you going to have this baby? I'm sick of this. And I'm like, you know what, honey, you know, it takes a while to cook a human. So once it's done, it's done. But I think the worst part of all of it is the threats. I mean, when you start getting serious threats, and now that I have kids, I mean, I'm not taking any of that lightly ever. So we do have the cops now that we have to rely on. There's very serious things with social media that we're constantly having to send over, serious stalkers. I mean, to the point of, you know, PPOs in place and things like that, which is just sad. But I do think the majority are nice. And when they're not, I block. You should see my blocked list. I'm sure all of you have the same thing, but my list is I just add to it all the time. I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I read half of their comment or their message and I'm like, no, I don't have to.
Sorry.
Block first, ask questions later. But I got to ask before Bill Murray takes over, are you two on the TikTok?
Yeah. Yes. I do some.
David, do you dance on the TikTok?
I don't. Well, with our news people, we'll get together and the younger people will say, hey, do this, say that. And so I'll do a little bit of that. Sure. Yeah, it's, you know, it's fine. But I'll put some weather stuff on there too. And actually, when I do, people actually like it. I'll get, hey, man, thanks for the weather update. I'm throwing it on TikTok. And I'm like, okay. I mean, some
of the highest engagement I receive, it's on the TikTok, and I don't post anything over there except weather. That I don't dance, I don't cuss, I'm not funny.
Right.
I'm not looking for, you know, love. I'm just posting weather content, and I'll post a, you know, fairly bland update for a, you know, severe weather event or snow, whatever. It'll do 300, 400,000 views. I'm thinking this is insane here, but what we're doing, we are reaching a younger demographic, and we are all here to mitigate loss of life. It doesn't matter if you're 8, 18, 24, 67, or 93. And for that, you know, 16 to 22-year-old segment, that's where they live. And I think we have to be there to establish a relationship with them. They're going to watch the news and they're going to watch Ron Burgundy. Good evening here. They don't do that. And so I think it's not a bad thing to do. So Lacey, are you on the talk?
I am on there. Yes, I am. I do other stuff. I just started trying to do a whole different thing where I post every single day a weather deal. Some days people watch, some days people don't. But I try to be consistent because I'm told that helps. But I have found on TikTok the most brutal comments are on TikTok by far. That's the most social media platform there's ever been. I'm just scared of what's next because I don't have time to add to anything else to my plate. So can we just not start any new platforms, please?
Yeah, but it's clearly more. It's more from email and I'm so old. We used to get it on the phone messages, and then it went to email, and now it's on social media. But I still, to this day, the worst one I ever got was that Christmas Day basketball game. We had to cut off for about 30 minutes. This was an NBA basketball game. Christmas Day, joy to the world, peace on earth, goodwill toward men. And this was an EF3 in the Birmingham Metro. This was a big deal, and nobody died. The warning process worked. But the first email I got, it said, you should have been aborted by a coat hanger.
Yep.
And that's low, man. Come on. I mean, just come on. So we all deal with it. But I'm sorry, Bill Murray. You go.
No, I love it. Thank you, James. I knew you would have some comments there and a couple of rants along the way. But David Lacey, I know you have a laundry list of big events, but is there any event that stands out that's more memorable to both or each of you individually?
Go for it.
Oh gosh. I still go back to, if we go back in the old, I think May 3rd of 99, I chased that. I worked that morning, did the morning and noon show, and then headed to Lawton and chased that through the city. I think that's still, I probably think about it every day. Just what it was like and what I saw. And I'd seen big tornadoes in the Panhandle, Nebraska and Colorado and Wyoming before that, but not in my backyard. Not coming into my city. And we're, people always talk about May 3rd, the one big tornado. People kind of forget there were other horrible things at the same time. The Dover tornado, the Mulhall tornado, bigger than the Moore tornado. I mean, there were, their monsters were walking the earth, and Oklahoma City kind of caught a lot of that, obviously, with the most fatalities and all that. But that day still stands out. I think about it all the time, and all the many other events. 2013 was big. With the El Reno tornado, as far as the size, the magnitude, it could have been so much worse, and all that. And then the last 11 years or 10 years, Lacey and I, we have had so many events. What stands out the last 11 years? I mean, last year alone was pretty amazing. We had was a 2016 Lace, the Tiger Safari tornadoes we had that day. The Tiger Safari gets hit.
Yeah.
We had multiple tornadoes. One's moving northwest, occluded and spun back northwest. EF2, borderline 3 down in the city, and then tornadoes in the West Metro. And it's just lots going on. Tiger Safari Place gets hit down by Mustang and down there, and our reporters are down there and trackers, and they tell the public, stay in your cars, that the lions are out and they're running amok. And we're like, what? I was like, are they really? And they go, yeah, it's been hit. The Tiger Safari Place is hit and lions are out. I was like, what is happening? But we've, every year is a thumbprint. We all know that. Every event is a thumbprint. And you think you've seen it all, and then something else happened. You're like, did you see that thing loop? 2 loops as an EF2, and I look over at her and I'm like, listen, we see stuff all the time. I don't. 16 was big. Last year was a pretty big year as far as we had. Last year, the February 26th outbreak came out of the Texas Panhandle. Storms moving at 90 to 95 miles an hour, producing EF1s, 2s, 0s, and 3s. It's insane. We had storms moving it. Our trackers were doing 100 on I-40 or 95 or 90, just trying to keep up. I mean, that was last year. That started the beginning of our year last year in February. So, I don't know. There's so many days that stand out. Lace, help me out here on some of our.
Well, for me personally, I was very young in my career in television whenever 2013 came around. And so that kind of set precedence for my career, honestly, and really trying to take in what I was learning and what I was hearing from how to word things. I mean, how critical it is what you say, and you hope and pray you say the right thing, because you're talking for so long about so many different things. For me too, whenever the Moore tornado hit in 2013, yes, the devastation, the schools. I mean, this is all happening, and this is my couple of years in the business. It was horrible, but it was crazy. The people who came, and I got to go outside, work in the parking lot at News 9 and just help with people who were dropping off donations. We had just said on TV, like, hey, come drop off donations and we'll get them to people who need them. And didn't really
thousands of cars.
We didn't have a plan. We didn't have a plan. We had no clue what that was going to turn into. We shut down traffic for miles of people dropping off donations because everyone just got in their car. They didn't know what to do, but everyone wanted to do something. And so I got to sit out there and just take donations from people. I mean, just like bawling. It was unbelievable the stuff people were donating and just handing to me, a stranger, knowing that we would do our best to get it to people who needed it. Kids, people drove from all over. By the end of the night, our parking lot, as far as you could see, were bottles of water. People were like, I went to Lowe's, I went to every Walmart, I went to every grocery store. Everyone's out of water because they said they bought it and brought it here. People were amazing. So just to see what people do and how everyone will come together after an event, that was full circle, that whole event. And then of course, then the El Reno tornado happened back in just a week later. So that was nuts. And for me in my career, the next kind of monumental event was actually on Father's Day last year. It was my son's birthday. And so June 17th, I had his birthday party. I had to leave early, had to go meet David at the station on a Saturday, which we do all the time. And so had to leave the party and got there, and we were covering these storms, and it was a straight line wind event. And storms start going up the Turner Turnpike, and they start heading up into like Payne County, kind of our eastern viewing area where we meet channels, our sister stations viewing area, Tulsa's viewing area. And radar is giving us just astronomical numbers, 110-mile-per-hour winds. And how much of this is reaching the surface, we're not quite sure. We start getting the reports from that evening of what's actually being confirmed and the power outages, and we know it's really bad. And we're talking about it on air, that's where my family lives. Like, that's where I'm from. That's not my immediate family, but all of my extended family. They all live up near Oulton, and they live near Cushing. And we're talking about it. I'm like, man, this is coming. You got to treat this like a tornado warning. I mean, this is straight line winds, but this will do the damage of a tornado. And my family stayed the night at my house to help my husband clean up, my mom, my dad, from the birthday party. I come home late at night, as I do, go to bed, get up the next morning, everyone's sitting around the table at my house, and my mom's kind of somber, and I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, I just got a phone call. There was a fatality last night with those storms. And it was actually one of my cousins who had died in a mobile home. 3 trees fell over on his mobile home, and it was the most horrific story. It was him and his 2 young kids, his wife, and his wife was pregnant, and the kids got scared and came and got in bed with him. And he's a big guy, and his body held the tree off of his family. And they had, one of the sons could squeeze out and go get the phone and call 911. And so it was horrible. And again, it just hits home, like, it was just what this can do. And your wording in the middle of the night matters so much to people, because they thought their best option was just get all the kids in bed and, we'll protect them and we'll be okay. And so just so many life-changing and memorable events.
Yeah. They're all big.
Yeah.
Yeah, real quick, this is a lighter story. I was asked several years ago, because James, as you can see, I'm challenged. A guy wrote me, he said, hey, listen, I just reached out to my vet. They're going to work you in tomorrow to get that mange off your head. And I was like, that's so sweet. I started writing about it. I said, thank you. Give me your vet's name. I can't wait to get this, whatever. I mean, people will say anything. People will say
outstanding.
So David, I wanted to give you a chance to get on a little bit of a rant about the trend in our industry moving towards centralizing weather operations and in regional stations. And then I know James A's he wants to introduce Jen and maybe ask a late question. And then, of course, James Spann always waits to save the hard question. So we'll see how well he does tonight. So hit that one.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I mean, we were talking about that before we actually went on with James, about, it's just sad. I mean, I think money, it's always about money, right? Always about greed. And, these stations can still make a very, very good living. But you know what, if you can cut a staff and cut a team and combine these units together and have one market that's running 3 different markets, and you look at the depth numbers over the years, and we're getting better, we're getting faster, we're getting better, we're getting better. I mean, in part to TV, the Weather Service. I mean, all these social media help so many ways now. And I just worry that, it's happening in Tulsa. I mean, stations up there, it's coming out of Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is putting news in the morning in Tulsa right now. I'm like, well, these people down here, they don't have it's not the same. You're not going to be able to cover that. And it really bothers me that we're just like, you know what? It's because news people, managers sometimes don't realize, oh, well, hang on. Billy Doug in Knoxville, he can cover 3 other markets. We'll hire 5 or 6 people and we'll work them to death. And I'm like, okay. I just, I'm just worried over the next, couple of years that, we're going to get so thin that there's going to be, it's like having no radar in Northwest Oklahoma. It's going to be a radar hole. We're going to have a severe weather hole. And I get it. The apps will still work and all that, but I still think you need people to be able to communicate and break it down to people and tell them exactly where this is. I mean, people have apps, they go all over the country all the time, and they still come back and go, wow, we were in such and such state, and boy, that sucked. Coverage was horrible. We didn't know what was going on. It said tornado warning, said I'm in a tornado warning, and nobody's on the, I mean.
Name some names, David. Name them.
Yeah, call them out. Call them out. Call them out.
Where are you? I mean, why are we, and I don't know. I just, it's taken so long to get here, and I feel like the last couple of years we're making bad decisions, and is the revenue what it was in the 90s? No, absolutely not. Is anything? I mean, the pie's been split up. I understand that, but you can still, we still have an obligation, I think, to our fellow Okies and everybody around us to give vital information that's life-saving information. That it takes more than the weather service. It takes more than the TV stations. It takes everybody together. And you start eliminating these things and watering it down. And, I don't know. I just, like James said, maybe it'll come back and this is all going to shake out where, the Netflixes and all that they're dying on the vines right now. They can't produce all this content. Well, in a year or 2 or 3 years from now, where do we settle up? Where does all the dust settle and what's left in the markets? But I just hate for somebody not to have a way to watch television during an event.
Yeah.
And just relying on a phone to get an app warning. It scares me a little bit.
Well, I'm interested for both of you because I'm seeing the younger generation in Lacey and David. I'm not saying anything because if there are any old people on the show, it's James and myself.
Okay.
But bottom line, and James would ask this question coming up shortly. Where do you see this, Lacey? And where do you see this, David? Where do you see broadcast in 15 years from now? Obviously, I don't think it's going to be on a stick out there in the middle of the field. Like we see now. Is it all going to be streaming? What are you seeing in the future?
I mean, I kind of do. It may be where there's only 1 or 2 stations in each market.
Yeah.
And the 1 or 2 survive, and then the other companies that used to have news and weather and sports, they don't do that anymore, but they still make money because they still get their local programming and their national shows in and sports and all that stuff, and they just eliminate. Because they don't have the overhead of paying employees and insurance and 401s and all that stuff. So I said that about 15 years ago. I thought, I mean, if you think about it, how many markets do we need 4 or 5 people telling us the sports, weather, news of the day? I mean, and that's not as of recent. I've always kind of thought, wow, even though there's only a few of us, but do we need all 4? I don't know. And now I'm starting to see that, maybe there's not going to be that. Maybe there'll be 1 or 2 of us standing in each market at the end of the day, and somebody trying to do a little bit over here. But I don't know.
What about you, Lacey? What are you thinking as you?
I think so much of it is going to go to streaming, and where everything is so much more available everywhere on the phone. It's just everything is. It's how many people would just wake up and turn on a local station? The number, it just keeps getting smaller and smaller. In the last year, it's gotten so much smaller. So it's just finding ways to do that. And with I'm constantly trying to figure out how to grip and bring in the younger generation who I frankly don't understand. And I'm trying to understand and to figure out what their interests are and how to get them to understand that you can't just be looking down at this all the time. Like there are these real life issues. And I think in some markets, a lot of it goes away. I think in weather markets where there really is life threatening, whether it's hurricanes or winter weather, big time winter weather, big time severe weather, there has to be these outlets. But I mean, in a way, for me at my age, but will I be able to retire doing this? I truly don't know. And I hope so. But I think it changes a lot.
Yeah.
James A., you want to introduce our new special guests who've arrived tonight and see if they have any questions for David or Lacey before we let these guys get out of here in a couple of minutes?
Yeah, our Brady Bunch box now has 3 with Jen and 2 chipmunks too. Jen, introduce who you have.
Hello, it's good to see you guys. Nelson Tucker, who's been on a couple of times, and Zach Reichel, his first time on with us. We just got back from the National Weather Service in Wilmington, so we'll talk about that in a minute. And so David and Lacey, it's nice to meet you. We got the tail end of the show, so it's been great to hear your insight on stuff. And we don't have any questions. We were just mentioning that we watched your coverage last year. It was what, April 19th? April 19th. We're watching your coverage, and we have a tendency to stream more than just our local area too, because we're just interested in watching all the different coverage. But you guys did a fabulous job, and
thank you.
It's good to see everybody. So we'll talk a little bit more in a bit.
That's awesome.
Thank you,
James. I know you got a couple questions you want to ask, but I want to know. I saw an ad on your severe weather coverage for Griffin syrup. The Griffins aren't diversifying, are they?
Well, no, they've always, that was the original in Muskogee. Still there. David's brother runs that side of the company.
That is so cool.
That's John Griffin, and then David runs the TV side. But John's here about every month at least, going through the building, handing out syrup and mustard and things like that.
And does anybody buy furniture from anybody but Bob Mills in Oklahoma City after you named your weather center for him?
Well, have you guys seen my new tattoo? I'll show it to you later. Anyway.
This is a family show.
Show title.
So James Mann, take us away.
No, but before you got, I know you spent way more time than you promised, so thank you.
No, you're good.
I wanted to, for both of you, describe a day in your life on a routine, not a tornado day, but a routine day. So Lacey, let's start with you, because people don't know what we do. So go through a normal day in the life.
So I go on air at 5:30 in the morning. So I usually get up at 2:30. My alarm goes off at 2:30. I get up, quickly grab all my stuff. I get everything prepared the night before. So my food, my coffee is set to be already made when I wake up, because if I have to think in those first 30 minutes, nothing will happen. Like, I have put my coffee pot in the cabinet. I have forgotten very vital things that you've got to have. So everything's planned and ready. So I just get to walk out the door. And by the grace of God, I make it to work in the morning. And so I try, when I'm driving to work, I actually play our 10 o'clock newscast. So I will play that out. And I listen to that and try to get somewhat caught up on if there's whatever's happening in the world. And then when I get to the station, I hit the ground running. I literally walk in and start forecasting. I have, by the way, forecasted up until I went to sleep the night before, and go in. I talk to the producers, kind of make sure we're all on the same page. I've already told them from the night before how much time I need, what the weather story is, what our kind of priority is for the day. I walk in, make sure everyone read the email, because that's tricky sometimes, and that we're all good. And then I just start building away, and I build up until I go on air. It takes me about 25 minutes to get ready from start to finish, hair and makeup. I slap that on, and then get mic'd up, walk on, do from 5:30 until 7. We do some cut-ins, and then we have a 9 a.m. show that goes until 10. That gets over. I come home. I will eat when I get home and try to take a nap with my 1-year-old. And when he naps, which right now he's still napping, he better nap for the rest of his life, because I don't know how I'm going to do this. And then after that, I'm up all during the day. I homeschool my daughter. So we do that. And then back to forecasting, sending an email for the next morning. And that's pretty much my day.
You homeschool your daughter. How old is she?
Wow.
She's 4. So it's preschool, kindergarten. I was homeschooled up until my sophomore year, and I loved it. I loved being homeschooled. I loved the freedom that it gave. And so that's my goal right now with both of them. That could change. I'm trying not to be super tied to it, but I love doing it. And so far it's working well for her. So as long as she likes it, that's the plan.
Wow. So are you working tomorrow morning?
Well, because of this, I am not working tomorrow morning, but normally.
Okay, good. I feel better, because I feel like we're keeping up past your bedtime here. So David, David, go day in the life.
Okay. I get up, usually, 7:30. Either I'll go to the gym before I start the forecast, or I'll go after. But if I'm anxious about something coming up, which I normally am, I've got a lot of issues, ADHD and whatever else you want to call it going on. So I get all excited. I want to see the newest, the latest and greatest. So I walk in, I go to my office, coffee first, and then I have a forecast sheet. And if anybody else does that out there, that's totally fine. We don't use any model data to forecast any of our lows, highs in the next 9 days. Everything we do, it's you look at all the data, you go through and you look at all your 850 and all this stuff. So we put all that together. So I have a forecast sheet. I write out all of my numbers, metro, state, highs and lows, the 9-day. And I start that about 8:30. and I finish that up about 9:30 or 10. That's about an hour and a half, or some days a 2-hour day. Because then when I get all my numbers in, and then, by the way, you know, the new numbers obviously come in later that morning, and you get the Euro by early afternoon, and I kind of do it again. But so about an hour and a half every morning in the office every day. And then we send out a daily email that goes to all Griffin media, both Channel 6 and Channel 9 here in Oklahoma City. And we give a priority of what's coming, or what the day is, or what tomorrow's going to be. You know, severe storms tomorrow. We have a priority system, and we will say, you know, today no priority, but priority whatever 2 for tomorrow for you know, severe weather. But we let people know. No one gets surprised here. You know, we don't. We'll say, hey, I'll put something at the top of my email and say, hey, by the way, we get to a stormy pattern next week. It still looks like we'll be chasing severe weather, and we'll be in it. And so hang on a second. But anyway, my daily emails, a breakdown of what's going to happen, what the priority is of the day, the headlines, so that producers have a very clear understanding what to tease. And then just kind of a breakdown of the day ahead and the week ahead and what we're talking about, what's coming up next. And then I send that to all Griffin media. And some of that stuff they send out to some of our advertisers, some of our clients, so they kind of have an idea. I just found that out as of recently, that they take it and send it out more than I realize it leaves the station. And then I'm at work at about 1:30 in the afternoon. I have a 4 o'clock show. I have my weekend people are with me. Hang on, let me back up. I always talk to Lacey after her morning show at 10. We talk every day.
Why'd you show that?
Huh?
At 6 a.m. you're texting me. Why'd you show that? What about this?
Oh yeah, I do that. Or I like that. That was nice. Or yeah. No, I'm one of those. That was good. That was good. But we talk every day, and I think that's important to talking about having this thing. Is talking every day, even though I don't see her every day. We talk every day, and I make that a point. I think with her, just that we're on the same page about stuff, and we have stuff covered in the morning and the nights and all that. So anyway, I get to work at 1:30. We start putting graphics together. Weather team helps me, and then my first show is at 4. I do a 4 o'clock show. Goes to 5 to 5:30. I get a half-hour break, but it's not a break. I'm recording stuff, TikTok, this, that. And then I do a 6 o'clock show, and that goes till 6:30. And right now we end at 6:30. That will be changing at some point. But right now I leave at 6:30, 6:45, go home. I have dinner with my wife, and then I'm back in here by about 8:30 or 9. Right now we do not do a 9 o'clock show. That will be changing. And then I do the 10 o'clock, and I'm out of here, you know, like about 10:30. But you know, and Lacey, I spend a good solid hour and a half to 2 hours every morning. I'm not doing radio from home in the morning. I'm just looking at data. I'm putting my numbers together, and you know, on a big severe weather day, that whole thing's blown up. I call all my trackers just about every time just to talk to them. I'll text too, obviously, but I like to hear them. Hey, here's what I'm thinking. Are you good? I'm good. Let's do this. Head out, head wherever. Send them all their targets on severe weather days, where they're going to go in the state, where they're going to be setting up. Get the chopper ready. This ready for the chopper. You know, it just goes crazy. But on my normal day is like I gave you. So is that normal? Am I doing not enough? I mean, too much? I don't even know.
I don't think there is a normal in the weather business, and every market is different. That's the one thing I tell people. Every market is different. You have to understand the culture, the people, the geography, the microclimates, and it's all different. There's no right or wrong. And so, you know, you guys are from Oklahoma. I'm from Alabama, and we do what's best for these markets. So one more, and I know you guys have to go. Y'all ever hear from Gary England anymore?
It's been a while. It's been a while. He was still off and on, I would say, for the first year and a half, and then we haven't had much connection back and forth. I know he's still here, and I hear from people that talk to him that were friends with him and all that. But I really haven't seen him. It's been a while. I haven't heard from him in a while. So Lacey, I don't know. Have you heard?
I hear from his wife Mary a lot. She's always on my pictures of my kids, and you know, kind of updates through that way. But as far as actually seeing him and hearing his boots coming into the studio, it has been a long time.
What's disturbing, guys, it's like I look around, I'm the last guy of my generation. So Skilling retired.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the last guy standing, which is disturbing. I
That's
feel
great.
great. I'm just getting started. I don't know why these people are retiring. I mean, come on. I mean, it's like, if you love this, I can't wait to wake up in the morning and do this. I cannot wait. And they're paying me to do this, which is absolutely incredible. So, but anyway, thanks to both of you. Anything we need to plug here? Any websites, social media accounts, books, anything?
No, I mean, we're News 9 in Oklahoma City. No, I mean, people can find us and, watch and hate or love or whatever. But, thank you. We really appreciate it. It's been an honor really to be here tonight with you guys and gals. We really appreciate it.
It's great. Well, Dave, Lacey, anything you need to plug?
I don't think so. I think you can find us everywhere, all the accounts. I just don't want to have any more accounts. So find me on the ones that currently exist. And thank you so much. I look up to every single one of you for all the aspects of what you do. And James, I've watched you for forever. Every time anything's going on, we're streaming you and we're watching you. So
we're watching a lot, James. And James, it's funny. You guys might not watch it when there's stuff going on though. I'm like, bring it up. Bring it up, and we watch everybody from all over the country. Small markets, it doesn't matter. I mean, we'll trade with it'll be to our east, and we're just getting ready for our shows. Nothing going on here, and I've got a row of monitors, like 80-inch monitors in our weather center, and I've got 2 or 3 different, and I'm watching and critiquing and and fired up and.
No, the only way to learn is to watch others do this, and the one thing I've learned as I get old is the fact that I've got a lot to learn, and you can learn communication techniques from others that are really good. And so, listen, my first major in college was electrical engineering, and I finished in meteorology. I've never taken a class and being some TV man or tweeter man or whatever. And so it's like, I like to learn from people. So I think that's great. But listen, thanks to both of you. You've given us a lot of your time. We appreciate it. And thanks for what you do for the Weather Enterprise. So thank you, Lacey, and thank you, David.
You bet.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
Hey, Lacey, real quick question. What is your tea? Because your voice is holding together marvelously well.
Sore throat. It said sore throat tea, and it's honey, like a whole bunch of honey in here. So
awesome. You should be doing spots for them. Wow.
Great idea.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. We're going to pause for, let's see, we're going to hear from, I don't know if I have audio from Tony Rice. Let me check it one more time. And I do not. So we're going to go to Jen. We'll have This Week in Tornado History. We will come back and we will hear from Bruce Jones. We will do Picks of the Week and much more as WeatherBrains rolls along.
This Week in Tornado History, March the 6th, 1956. A brief look at 2 tornadoes that occurred on this day, one in Illinois and one in Indiana. It was a twister given an F3 rating that developed 4 miles northeast of Buckley, Illinois, and moved to the northeast for about 8 to 9 miles. Approximately 10 farmsteads were heavily damaged and 3 people were injured. For the Climatological Data National Summary, many witnesses reported an unusual white appearance of the funnel cloud when viewed from the south or southeast due to favorable light from the setting sun. This tornado was given a rating of F3, but Thomas Grzoulis in Significant Tornadoes rates it as F2, but does mention that one home suffered near F3 damage. The Indiana tornado moved through parts of Grant County in the town of Marion. It was rated F4. 45 homes were destroyed and 40 others had major damage. A lumber yard and 2 schools were also damaged. There were 31 injuries and 1 fatality. Mrs. Eileen Dove, age 30, was in her apartment off Branford Street with husband Floyd and their 3 children. One child was blown from the structure into a field and survived. The rest of the family was buried in the rubble. Eileen sadly passed away from her injuries. We have summaries of both these events on our website, tornadotalk.com. Join the American Meteorological Society's Weather Band at amsweatherband.org to connect with weather enthusiasts all over the world, plus 10,000 plus members of the AMS. Swap stories and data, join photo contests and interactive webinars, or test your trivia knowledge. Full membership is just $12 per year. And don't forget to join WeatherBand February 29th and March the 1st from noon to 4 for the annual virtual Jamposium. As requested by WeatherBand members, the Jamposium will cover topics from climate change and severe weather to science communication, citizen science, and the April 2024 total solar eclipse. Go to amsweatherband.org to get started.
protected so you wouldn't have to listen to my typing, and then I was muted when it came time to come back in. We appreciate our friends at the AMS for their sponsorship of the show, and really excited about the Jamposium coming up here in just about 3 or 4 weeks. We're also appreciative of Bruce Jones and our friends at Midland Radio. Bruce, we're taking a tour of America with you on WeatherBrains here the past few weeks. Where are you tonight? We can tell it's a hotel, unless you just love hotels so much you decorated your house like one.
Got thrown out by the missus. Yeah. No, Durant, Oklahoma, a speck of a place, a heck of a place. The Oklahoma Emergency Management Conference is here at the Choctaw Casino. And I didn't realize it. It's the 5th or 6th largest casino on the planet.
Now that's amazing. Casino. In Durant, Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's kind of south, I guess you call it southeast or almost south central Oklahoma. Right. Pretty close to the Red River. Yeah.
Yeah, talk about the radar there. There's a new radar, and Rick Smith, you join in.
Yeah, I'd like
that piece of equipment.
Yeah, kind of a radar hole here, and the Choctaw Nation is very weather savvy. They've got a great emergency manager down here, and they're on top of this kind of stuff. So they have a lot of territory to cover, and they make sure that their people are safe and protected. And one of the ways of doing that, they just went out and bought their own radar, which I think is fantastic. I often wonder why these billionaires, these richest people on the planet, don't spread some of that money around buying more radars. Wouldn't that be a great thing?
Yeah, we need one of these billionaires to be a weather nerd. Rick Smith, any comments on about the radar in Durant?
Yeah, it's probably been up and running for almost a year now. The city of Durant purchased it with some grant money from the state, and it's a Baron radar, and they're working on getting it online. It'll eventually be shared. The plan is for the data to be shared everywhere. There's an app that you can get now to look at the data. If you just look for the city of Durant, that's how you see the radar app now. But they're working, and we've been talking to them throughout the whole process to get that data out via like Radar Scope and GR. So that'll hopefully, that's the plan, is for that to happen eventually. And but yeah, it's sitting on top of water tower. Saw it here this morning when I drove in. Bruce, I'm in. I don't know if I'm in the same tower as you are, but we're in the same.
Wasn't it last year, Rick? Last year, didn't you guys have to do kind of a command post emergency operations center down in the lobby?
Yeah, the last year we had a huge severe weather outbreak while we were here in the Emergency Operations Center. It's set up again. We were working in there today, and we'll be all week. But yeah, it's much quieter this year, thank goodness.
Well, Bruce, we're really getting into severe weather season now in a lot of places. So talk about the important role that NOAA Weather Radio plays in informing and warning communities ahead of severe weather.
Well, historically, the United States has had multiple ways for folks to get warnings. Of course, television with James Spann and David Payne and great folks like that. We've also had the outdoor tornado sirens. We've had AM and FM radio for years and years, would give live, almost play-by-play severe weather coverage. And now we've got cell phones, and throughout all the history of all of this stuff, we've had the NOAA Weather Radio Network. NOAA Weather Radio really kind of came on the air back in the late 1950s, early 1960s. It was just a marine warning service for a while, aviation warning service for a while. And then so many people tuned into these broadcasts that they pressured the National Weather Service to make it a nationwide system. And coming up in 2025, it'll be the 50th anniversary of President Gerald Ford designating NOAA Weather Radio as America's official federal warning system, which it still is. It's the location within our warning system at which the National Weather Service identifies the county that has the specific warning. And that county notification then goes into EAS, so the TV stations in that area know to broadcast it. And then it goes into WEA, so the cell phones in that area know to go off. But it all begins at NOAA Weather Radio, where the location code is inserted into that tornado warning, flash flood warning, or as in the state of Texas recently, the wildfire warnings. We do have a special offer for those of you who are WeatherBrains fans. If you go to midlandusa.com and order a weather radio, you can get 25% off. Now, this is a promo code that you have to type in, but the promo code's easy to remember. It's SPAN 25, SPANN, James Spann, and then 25 for the 25% discount that you get. So it's a WeatherBrains special, and it's available at midlandusa.com. That's MIDLAND, Midland, like the middle of the country, midlandusa.com. The promo code SPAN25, SPANN25, will get you 25% off Weather Radio purchase. We're getting into tornado season now. James and his crew were out at Homewood, Alabama just recently this past weekend, helping people get set up for the coming season. We've already had some tornado activity here in the United States, and it'll just continue from here on out. So please take this opportunity to get prepared and have multiple redundant ways of receiving these life-saving warnings from the National Weather Service.
Well, Bruce, we know you're the ambassador of Weather Radio for the United States, and we want to encourage all of our listeners to be those influencers that are out there pushing this message that it is critical. This is the baseline for any home in the fight against severe weather. Have that NOAA Weather Radio, have it charged up, batteries retested and replaced, and set on alert and ready to go. It's just an important part of the process. And thank you for being a part of what we do, Bruce.
You bet. I'm proud to be here, and I thank you guys as well. And those Ohio tornadoes recently, some of them occurred at 5:30 in the morning. So those off-hour and off-season tornadoes are the worst because they catch us all unawares, and we're just not thinking, oh, it's the day after Christmas, so we can't have a tornado, or it's 5:30 in the morning, we can't have a tornado. Doggone it, you can have them any time of the day and any day of the year. So please have a device that's going to silently monitor and protect you and your family. And that's a NOAA Weather Radio.
Amen. And speaking of tornadoes in February in Ohio, we've got Jen Naramore, and she's gotten the chipmunks in there. They're growing up now, Jen. The chipmunks are going to be grown here shortly.
They are. I'm so proud.
So tell us what y'all are doing this week and introduce the two chipmunks that are with us tonight.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that Bruce was just talking about the Ohio tornadoes, because I was up between 4 and 5:30 watching that. The closest, the London tornado was only about 17 miles or so south of me, and a little close for comfort. The reason we're up here this week, Nelson's on spring break. Zach actually took time off of work, and I'm working a reduced shift with radio, so we can do research for the Xenia tornado of 1974. But because everything happened last week, we decided to do some surveys, and we went along the Springfield path on Saturday and a lot of the London path as well. And then we actually finished that up today, and the guys mapped it all out, and we traveled it and saw a lot of the damage. And we actually got an opportunity to talk to one person whose house was hit. She invited us right up to talk. And so we're actually going to write a small summary about this. It's so important that we go on these paths because we are seeing the damage. It helps us to understand the communities and how they're impacted. And it was just an EF1. No, EF1, EF2, it doesn't matter. It's changed their life. And there's one couple that we're going to try to at least get some more information on, that they lost their whole house in this EF2 in Springfield, and they're having to find someplace else to live. But we talked to this lady who just told us everything. She's like, come, you can take as many photos as you want. And we were able to get a lot of information. It helps us be more empathetic and also describe the damage better when we're writing these summaries. But I want to throw it to Zach first, because Zach's never been on the show. Zach, just tell us really quick why you like weather. What was some of your early experiences, and then just a little bit about your education.
So the weather bug started about 2008. Maybe y'all remember the February 5th, February 6th, Super Tuesday outbreak, 2008. Mom woke me up before the sun and heard sirens, heard thunder, and got my tail down to the basement. The next day we heard of a bad tornado, and it turned out to be the EF4 that hit near Pisgah and Rosalie up on Sand Mountain. That kind of got me up with weather a little more. And then, of course, the super outbreak of 2011. I think there were 3 violent tornadoes within 20 miles of my house, and one of which I could kind of see, the one that went on to hit Flat Rock and went into Georgia and killed at least 10 people. So that kind of just set me on the path. I've always been interested in weather all the way. So I was 14 at the time of the super outbreak. I'm 27 now, but I originally went to college all the way up at Ball State, Indiana, and Muncie, which at the time I also fell in love with GIS, or Geographic Information Systems, heavy with mapping and computers. But math and physics weren't exactly kind to me, so I decided to do more GIS and stay in school a little longer to kind of build that education, and ended up just following GIS and got my master's at Auburn in geography. And it was during that time that COVID hit, and a lot of us were kind of isolated. And of course, a lot of people went online to find people to communicate with. And I had been on Discord for a bit, and that's where I found Tornado Talk. And here we are 4 years later. So I'm crazy enough to drive 9 hours to Ohio to look at tornado damage and then take photos in cemeteries and strangers' backyards, pretty much. What half this trip has been.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been quite a journey so far.
Yeah, Zach was with us on the August trip because he is from Northern Alabama, and Nelson was able to be there too. And of course, Nelson he's a veteran of the show. But Nelson, talk a little bit about what we're doing this week with Xenia, and what are some of our goals this week?
Yeah, so the trip has been sort of hijacked by the recent weather. That's we're 3 for 3 now at this point. I mean, every super outbreak trip at this point has been hijacked by tornadoes more recently.
Please let us know next time you're planning one of these, Nelson, so we can get undercover.
As a matter of fact, one of the places that we're going to go to at Wright State, there was an EF1 that passed about 200 yards from the library. Fortunately, unlike what happened in Coleman in August, it did not actually close or damage the facility. But at least this time we can still visit. But yeah, it's been quite a week. So we've been going down to Xenia, visiting some of the archives. We were just earlier this afternoon. We were in Wilmington, meeting with the National Weather Service. Just phenomenal folks. I mean, that's the fifth. That's now my 5th office I've visited, and all of them. I mean, I can't recommend enough to anybody either my age or who's younger in high school. If you want to see what it's like, in this field, and how it's done professionally, and how people who are just as nerdy and obsessed with weather as you are, and how they actually do it as adults, that's a great place to go to get a tour and to go and visit, because you really won't talk to a finer set of meteorologists than at these offices. But yeah, so that was a great time. We only got back here a little bit ago to get on the show. But yeah, with Xenia, with the problem with Xenia is the overload of information. Frankly, I mean, even compared to what we had to do with Tuscaloosa, I mean, this kind of blows that even out of the water in terms of the amount of coverage. It's pretty staggering. So I think that's been the main challenge with this tornado, is not so much the obscurity, but just the amount that has been written on it. So we've been trying to talk to folks, try to collect some of those oral histories, try to get as much information as we can, so we can identify each of the fatalities, make sure we can explain in depth their stories, what happened to them, honor their lives, and go through all of that. And it's a big challenge, but yeah, we're getting through that. And we're also working on simultaneously right now. We're still working on Guin, which is where we visited in August. So we're hoping to have stuff out for both of those come the anniversary.
We don't start small here at Tornado Talk. We decided to take 2 of the biggest tornadoes of the outbreak, but no, it was very important for us to try to cover as much as we can for both. But there'll be a lot coming out after the anniversary too. And I'm sending Zach to Guin for the commemoration, and then I've been invited to go to Louisville And then I think I'm going to swing by Xenia on April 3rd. But I just want to say really quick, I am so blessed to work with these guys. The fact that they take their spring break and vacation and hang out with me to do this and help Tornado Talk grow, it's really amazing. And I'm very, very blessed. They are great. We are all like 3 peas in a pod. I'm not kidding. And it's been amazing to just see their energy, and they keep me going. And they're here to work and they want to do this. They're very, very passionate, and I appreciate them so much. But I do want to call for the email jingle, because I do have an email to read.
Well, let's roll it, ladies and gentlemen. Time to dig into the good old email inbox.
All right, this one actually snuck into the Discord server. It came from Rob Strecker, and this is actually for Zach and Nelson. He knows that back in August, we got a chance to meet Bill Murray. That was the first time I ever met Bill Murray in person, and they met him too. And then we got to meet Mr. James Spann when we were in Alabama, and he just wanted to know what it was like to meet them, and especially the man, the myth, the legend, James Spann. What was it like to meet them? And I know that's what he said.
Hey guys, tell us the truth, please.
Yeah, please.
Rob's making stuff up.
The guy's a loser.
So what was it like, Nelson, to hang out with Bill and James for a bit?
I think for James, I mean, I got to also meet you at Ohio State beforehand, but I thought I've seen energetic people in college, but I James is on a different level. Like, just he astounds me.
The Energizer Bunny. Yeah.
The amount of energy you have is incredible, and the passion you have for your job. I mean, that is just something else to me, to see that. Because I mean, for someone you were one of my heroes growing up, so to meet you in person, it's so rare to actually be able to meet someone in person and to have your expectations just exceeded, like blown out of the water. Just to meet you and to see your humility, really, it was comforting to see that, how humble, you were, and how much you cared for people, and to see that in such a position of, I guess, authority or of influence over so many people, and the fact that you care for them so much, and for their lives and their welfare, and the way that the servant's heart, you're very service minded, and that is really that was powerful to me when meeting you in person.
You're way too kind, but thank you.
I honestly don't follow that up. Yeah. I think it was just really a full circle moment for me because, as I mentioned earlier, the 2011 super outbreak, a lot of the stuff I read, even now, there's a lot of stuff from Bill's blogs, and there's James's coverage of the event. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I watched that 8-hour video on YouTube. Just kind of, I don't know if it's a healing process, because a lot of people around me were very, very much hurt by this event, but it was always also interesting for me to just kind of see the whole broadcasting of it, and to finally meet you, the person who, broadcasts everybody and saved countless lives, is pretty cool, for lack of better words. So yeah, although it probably would have been more interesting if we met you in a certain place in, where is it, Dora, Alabama?
That's disturbing that you would know the name of the town that thing's in. Disturbing.
Yeah, parking lot.
Please.
I learned something at the Barron thing this weekend that I thought was interesting. They said that was the first time that day every one of the Alabama and Mississippi supercells pinged their BTI index 100 at some point in their lives, in their life cycles. And somebody pointed that out, and I thought that was amazing, because that's a very rare occurrence to have that. But on that day, several of them did just that, and that was just an amazing day.
It was. But
I should also add, Bill, You would have loved being at the Wilmington office here. They have a lot of the memorabilia. So they have the original hand-drawn surface maps from April 3rd, all of their observations, all of their hand-done materials, radar snapshots, not only from Wright-Patterson and other places, and they have also some letters from Fujita written by him, and just some incredible historical stuff. Because I remember I'm jealous of the collection you've built over the years that you showed us in the August trip. It's really extraordinary.
Yeah, but that's amazing stuff right there. So yeah, I hope we get all that digitized and get it recorded for posterity. Such an incredible night too. We're going to have a lot of guests coming up in just a couple of weeks. Jen, you wanna tout any of the guests we've got coming up on those two special shows?
Yeah, we're gonna have the first 1974 episode we're gonna do is gonna be focused on the meteorology. We're actually gonna have Dr. Greg Forbes on, obviously huge in that outbreak with the surveys and working under Fujita, and then Joe Golden. Dr. Joe Golden is also going to join us. I believe we have Ken Graham coming on that night. And
that's right.
Did you get the fourth guest?
Yes, and Steve Corfidi, who did an outstanding reanalysis of the event. Rick Smith reached out and got him for us. So we've got a tremendous lineup there on Monday night, March 25th. Which will be show 949, and then the following week, Jen, we're gonna continue that remembrance.
Yeah, and that's going to be more of a focus on the survivors and really focusing in on that night and just trying to put ourselves in what happened. And we're still working on some of the details there. I've been making a few phone calls to try to get a couple of survivors to join us on the show. And we've got some special audio that we want to play as well. So it's going to be kind of a hybrid and just remembrance of what happened, as it's getting so close to the anniversary. So I'm still kind of working on some of the details there, but I think it's really going to be powerful. And it's just hard to believe it's been 50 years and still so much emotion when we talk to survivors, even 50 years later. It really is just, it's hard. It's such an impact when you're talking about, the Xenia tornado. It's an F5 that completely got rid of the town and Ewan, but people want to be remembered. They want their story told. And so I think it should be a very special night.
And I'm actually old enough to have lived through that. I was a senior in high school, and it was a life-changing night for me. So I can't wait to hear both of these episodes. But we've been trying to shorten the show here. We haven't done. We're not very successful at this. But hey, this is good stuff. I mean, come on, this is good stuff. All right. But let's go right to picks of the week, and this is where everybody's going to share something cool and weather related. So, Dr. Neil Jacobs, let's begin with you, sir. What's your pick of the week?
My pick of the week is a House Science Committee hearing on Wednesday at 10 a.m. It'll be live streamed on YouTube about numerical weather prediction and how to improve the forecast.
Ooh.
And I will be one of the witnesses.
About to say, I have a funny feeling you're going to be there. Wow. Outstanding. And again, all these links will be up on weatherbrains.com. Let's go to James Adelite. He's got to do the 9 o'clock news in moments. So let's get him in and out. James, what you got for us?
Yeah, I've got a picture from, I believe it's South Jordan, Utah, of the invasion of tumbleweed over the last couple of days. It looks like when I take my golden retriever out to the patio and brush her. But they're just, it's an enormous, I mean, they've got backhoes out trying to get rid of these tumbleweeds. It's just amazing.
Awesome. And my pick, quickly, oddly enough, the National Weather Service in Huntsville had a fire and they had to evacuate their building. This was some type of electrical fire. And I think there's some type of air quality issue in there. And they're still, they had to relinquish control to some of the adjacent offices. So one of the local Huntsville stations put a story together on that. So that'll be my pick of the week. Troy Kimmel, give us something good. Go.
Thanks to National Weather Service Jackson, by the way, for stepping in on that one, my understanding. Hey, real quick question for Bill and for James Spann in Alabama. Anybody going to the Southeastern Severe Weather Symposium in 2 weeks? Because I'm going to be there. I was kind of hoping to look forward, and we'll see some of the people that are obviously listening or watching tonight as well. And one other thing, Bruce Jones, I wanted to mention to you that Austin, South Central Texas Skywarn was held on Saturday, and our friends from Austin and Travis County Emergency Management were there with loads of WR-120s, and it was really, really good evening for Midland Radio. And so just letting you know that. Big story the last couple of days has been the snow out over the west, and so I picked the last, 6 versions of the LSR, the local storm report from Reno. Folks, when you start seeing snow totals of 80 or 85 or 90 inches, that's just a little bit of snow. So leave you with that.
Yes, slightly buried.
Yes.
And by the way, Bruce, I was going to mention too, our weather radio event was fantastic in Homewood on Saturday. We had a great time. It was great to talk with so many people. So many people, were buying them that have never had one before. And the whole deal was just really, really good. And we want to do several of those here in coming weeks. All right, Dr. Kim Cloco-McLean, give us a good pick of the week.
I am going to deserve the foghorn.
You beat me to it, Kim.
Wow.
I'm shortening it. See, this is just me helping us shorten our show.
There you go. There you go. To help us get us out on time. All right, let's go to Jen and crew. Jen, give all three of you, give us something good.
Well, we were going to do just one for Tornado Talk pick. And that is the National Weather Service in Wilmington. They were amazing. Kristen Cassidy and Andy Hatzos hosted us today Kristen was in there for almost 3 hours with us today, talking and just giving us material to look at. It was amazing. So that is our pick of the week this week.
Good deal. It'll be up on weatherbrains.com. Rick Smith, what's your pick of the week?
Well, it is March and time to start thinking about tornado safety. So every year the Weather Service has seasonal campaigns. Their spring safety campaign is up, and every time it's refreshed graphics, there's infographics, presentations, and all that stuff is there for anybody to use. So that's my pick of the week.
Outstanding. Bruce Jones, give us a good pick of the week.
Hey, if you want some information about the Smokehouse Creek fire in the Texas Panhandle, the U.S. government has a website called NC Web, like incident, INCI, the first 4 letters of the word incident, and web, NC Web. And it's an official government website. Gives you all sorts of information about where the fire is now, how much is contained, blah, blah, blah. But also now they're posting information on there about charities that you can donate to, where the funds will actually get to the people who really need it. So it's called NC Web. And I'll send you the web connection for that.
Outstanding. All right, Bill Murray, go.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on that InstaWeb website over the weekend, Bruce. That's a great pick. And I would take the foghorn, but I have some really important guests to tout in coming weeks. So I'll beg the hosts permission here to go without the foghorn. Kim, have we heard from the famous Dr. Harold Brooks for next Monday night, or am I going to be going and searching for a last minute guest again?
You do such a good job with last minute guests.
Pressure will do it.
Not? But no, Harold and I have actually been busy with some other things. So I have admittedly forgotten to ask him. So I will get on that.
Well, apparently James A. is talking to him on Facebook right now, and I'm sure the stuff is flying over there. So maybe you can ask James A.
You ask him.
just ask about Hans Ertl. That's all I want to know. So yeah, James, I'm really excited, especially if we get to talk to Dr. Brooks next week. But meteorologist Lorena Lim will join us on the 18th, and then of course the 25th and 1st will be the super outbreak anniversary shows that we spoke about. Heather Tesh from the Weather Channel fame will join us on April 15th, Tax Day, and the whole gang who's making a huge difference in the digital meteorology realm. Ben Luna and his team from the Tennessee Valley Weather Network up in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, will join us for a fun and special show on April 26th. He did a talk at the Barron Conference, and what Ben is doing is revolutionary. So that's going to be a really fun show for us to enjoy. So that's just some of the guests coming up, James, in the next few weeks here on WeatherBrains.
Did we miss somebody's birthday today?
That was top of top of my questions today. Happy birthday, Jen Naramore.
Yay!
My phone kept going off over here, reminding me that it was her birthday, and I touched the reminder, and it butt dialed her immediately.
Wow!
So I heard the phone
This is
ringing.
a good time to end the show, y'all. Yeah.
Going right down the tubes.
There's a show title.
Yeah.
Butt
Butt dial Jen. Yep.
Wow. Yeah, that's
butt
right.
dial.
All right.
It was great fun having David and Lacey tonight. They've always been heroes of mine, and they do a great job. And what is this now? What is this?
No.
Thank you, James.
James will get us in trouble.
Oh yeah, no. If only people could see the chat here. It's. But I think before this totally goes down the tubes, we got to wrap it up. If you are new here, WeatherBrains is typically on the air every Monday night at 8:00 Eastern, 7:00 Central. You can watch the video version live on YouTube.com/WeatherBrains. But we know that most of you listen. However you consume the show, thank you. If you want to get in touch with us, the email address, it is email@weatherbrains.com. We try and answer all of them, but we'll pick one of them to read on the air. So on behalf of the entire WeatherBrains crew, I'm James Spann. Thanks for listening. Have a marvelous week, and God bless.
Thank y'all guys for a great show.
Thank
That
you
was
so
awesome.
much, guys.
Great.
Thanks, everybody.
Nelson, good to see you.